Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. It feels like a movie that's been with us for quite a while. It was met with a bit of derision upon its announcement, given that it's based on a tabletop game. And while it's set in the Forgotten Realms campaign, the nature of kind of D&D, for anyone who knows it, you know that there's no real source material to draw from, because the idea of it is, if for anyone who doesn't know it, is that basically you choose your own adventure and the characters play and kind of make their own choices. So there's not one set storyline for it to follow. And it doesn't really help that previous attempts to adapt Dungeons and Dragons for cinematic release have been absolutely disastrous. When you throw in a tumultuous production journey going all the way back almost a decade now, that saw it start out with Warner Brothers after a lawsuit over film rights, but eventually just somehow land with Paramount, all signs pointed to this being an absolute disaster and a bit of a cursed project, in much the same way that we've seen the likes of Morbius be recently. So the question, as it was released last weekend, is, could it defy the odds? For what it's worth, I've never really been a Dungeons and Dragons guy. Like, look, I may love my Star Wars, I may love Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, pro wrestling, Marvel, comic books in general, video games, but let me assure you, I am not a nerd. So I've never really played Dungeons and Dragons much, and I can't really speak to if this is a faithful adaptation to satiate longtime D&D devotees. What I can say, though, is that it really, really works. This is written and directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, who've worked together on the likes of Spider-Man Homecoming, as well as underrated comedy gems like Game Night and Vacation, the National Lampoon's reboot, which is one of my absolute favorites. I think it's on Netflix still. Go search it out if you're looking for a laugh and you haven't seen it already. It's very, very underrated and not spoken about too much, but it's excellent. And Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves very much follows the early days MCU formula, where you have a bit of lore and you have like a kind of a meaty story, you have a bit of action in there, but ultimately what they're doing is just having fun with it. They're just enjoying being in this world, and they're also enjoying kind of making jokes around it and kind of winking and nodding to the audience without making fun of it either. And that's the word that comes to mind when you think of it. It's just fun. You're going to have fun watching this movie as a result. The jokes really land with characters saying what you're thinking. For example, and again, this is not one of the better jokes, but it's just a very simple, effective kind of indicator of where the humor chooses to kind of point its lens. Like, you have a scenario where they're like, we can ask these people 5 questions, and another character points out, it's like, why 5? That's just really arbitrary. And it's just the right balance of meta without, again, being sneering. The people who behind this and the people who got involved in this, they like Dungeons and Dragons. They're not looking to make fun of it. They're not looking to mock people who play it. They're looking to celebrate it, but again, have a bit of fun with it in the way that people who do participate will hopefully enjoy it as well. The likes of Chris Pine, Hugh Grant, and rege-jean are perfectly cast and really understand the brief, and that we're all just here to enjoy ourselves and have a bit of fun. Nobody here is trying to be like Captain America level iconic, but nobody is kind of over-egging it and hamming it up either in a way that you can tell they're trying too hard to be funny. They get the balance just right. And it reminds me a lot of the Lego movie, for example, as a project that you look at it on paper and you're like, what is this going to be? But everyone involved is totally on the same page. So it just works. The action scenes remain exciting and original without being a slave to the likes of CGI, or like those kind of later day Marvel movies have a total disconnect from the humor, where again, you have all this kind of jokes and character build up, and the movie has kind of created this fun vibe. But then when it comes to business time, it's just a 40-minute battle scene, and then they kind of just forget about all that and then come back to it in the end. One scene, for example, that kind of underscores this, sees a character shift into different forms. So they're able to turn from a mouse into a bird and into this as kind of the action continues to go on. So you get to see it from different perspectives, and it's really, really fun and engaging as a result. But then the scene ends with a joke from earlier paying off, so a line that you just completely forgotten about. And it's like, that's how they get you, and that's why this works. Even when it comes down to the inevitable extended end of movie battle sequences, Dungeons and Dragons create your own adventure nature kind of serves this well. There's no preset rules that make it a bit of a procession, as these sections can be at time. Well, you have Goldstein and Daly never forgetting to keep us engaged with some well-timed humor all throughout. And That's the success at the heart of Honor Among Thieves. It rewards you. You go in with relatively low investment or expectation, and it just draws you in with a story nerdy enough to have a bit of teeth, but not overcomplicated and trying to appease an audience of hardcore fans either. It's the type of movie where if you have kids, you can take them to, and both of you will come away with different things, but both of you will really get something out of it. Or it's the type of movie that if you're looking for something to see with adults or just by yourself on a Friday night, you can go to and really, really enjoy too. Is this a brand new franchise? Is this the new MCU that's going to inspire 20 sequels and spin-offs? No, probably not. And the fact that it's not trying to be in 2023 is what makes it so refreshing and a relief. Again, 2023 and last year as well, kind of, we saw the beginning of this renaissance with the likes of Top Gun Maverick. It's about making cinema fun again and making these blockbusters that, again, aren't trying to set up 3 other blockbusters or trying to set up a universe or anything, and just making fun movies again. And again, that's why it just feels refreshing. They're not trying to set up a sequel here. There probably will be a sequel. It probably will be a bit disappointed as they try to relive the madness, and that's fine, but I'll go see it again because I'm like, I just remember and come away from this movie thinking I had fun, I enjoyed this, and this worked. Go see it. I can't recommend it enough. I'm gonna probably watch this back a few times if I ever need a laugh. I couldn't believe it. I was so pleasantly surprised. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves really, really works.